There's a lot going on and there's a lot to talk about, so let's get started.
This is really Just Stop. Here's Ross, the host with today's dose of common sense.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yes, I know it's been a few days. I've been trying to put together an episode for the last few days, and it just hasn't been able to come together for me. There's been too many things going on, and too many things that I felt were taking precedence over other things. And so the topic of what it was going to be just kept changing. And then I would sit down and try to record it, and something else would happen. Something would go on, something would break, something would stop recording, the audio would go out. Oh, and then my furnace stopped working. So we had to replace that, and it's been a crazy few weeks. Again, you've probably heard me say it already that 2025 is not starting that great. We were hoping it was better than 24. Not sure it's happening that way. But the world is kind of crazy right now, and the first couple of weeks of the Trump administration has really just made people lose their minds. People are going nuck and futs, as they say. What's happening right now in the United States kind of makes us stop paying attention to what's going on around the rest of the world, because this is crazy town. Whether or not it's legal, I don't know. I think some of the things that they're doing right now are probably not legal and will probably be overturned or challenged or completely shut down by some rational thinkers when the adults start doing things again. But if you're on the other side and you want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in government spending, well, you're about, 100 years too late, first of all. But hey, more power to you, because I worked for the government for a long time, and yeah, it's just full of waste, fraud, and abuse. Contractors and government employees alike. And they do incredibly stupid things, and they cost the American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every year. And a lot of that money is just wasted. It's just completely wasted. They make stupid decisions like, for instance, when our unit was leaving Afghanistan, part of our role there was to close up the American presence in that part of Afghanistan and turn it over to the Afghan military, turn it over to the Afghan government. So we were tearing down portions of these FOBs. We had to return them to the condition they were in when we found them. So we pretty much had to abandon everything, take everything out, get rid of it, the things that we weren't just giving to the Afghans, which was a lot of stuff. But the contractors who were there were in the middle of building a building, and we were leaving, but they had to finish building the building so that we could tear it down. But we had to wait to tear it down until they finished building it, because the government paid them to build it. So they were required to build it, to finish building it, so that we could tear it down, because it was under construction when the decision was made to close this FOB. And so they were already paid. The contractors were already paid for the work, so the government made them do the work. And then they tore the building down. Smart. Yep. And we had, not we, pregnant we, I guess, but not us. It was there before we got there. Helipads, concrete pads for landing helicopters on our side of the FOB and on the Afghan side of the FOB. They weren't there when we got there. So we had to blow ours up. They literally blew them up so that they weren't usable, turned them into rubble, because that's your taxpayer dollars at work. But and that's just really a minor thing compared to most of the waste, fraud, and abuse that goes on. But it was comical in its absurdity. So if they can put a stop to that, I'm all for it. And, anybody who's known me knows that I am not a Trump fan. I never have been. A a lot of the things that people said about Trump back in 2015, 2016 were not true. And I wrote a series of articles about how the Russians were using active measures to influence the American population, particularly on the right wing in the Patriot movement. And people were constantly coming at me. So, see, Russiagate and all this other stuff, Trump is an asset of Russia. And I was like, no, he's not. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. They don't need to pay him off for anything. They already have control of his voter base. I don't know why anybody would have thought, oh, Trump is in the pocket of Putin. He's taking bribes from. No, he didn't. He didn't need to. Putin didn't need to bribe him because Putin already had control of a large percentage of Trump's voter base. And they would do, after being manipulated, whatever Putin wanted. And they did, and they still do. So anyway, even though I was not a Trump fan, I wasn't willing to put up with these things that were just ignorant lies that people were spreading around the whole thing, trying to create conspiracies where one didn't exist, when there was already a massive conspiracy that needed to be dealt with, and it never was. So when I was writing about it in 2015 and everyone else was ignoring the issue, I just still wasn't going to stand for it. And I'm sure a lot of people stopped following me because of that, because I just wasn't going to, jump on the bandwagon and say it was Russiagate or whatever. It just didn't make sense to me. But not a Trump fan. I'm pretty sure a lot of the things that are going on right now are not good, especially with the people they're bringing in to do them, which is just a bunch of yahoos off the street, and they're not government officials. They're not vetted. They don't have security clearances. Everything's crazy. But they might get some good out of it if they're able to actually dig up a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse and correct it and get the government to stop doing it, because the government is too large. I know this is going to offend a lot of people who work for the government right now, but the government is massive. It's too large, and it shouldn't be that large, and it shouldn't be a growing industry to work for the government. And it's one of the largest industries in the state I live in is government employment. That shouldn't make anybody happy. And they spend way too much money on stupid shit. And it's got to stop. It's going to have to stop, or it's going to crush us, because it's ridiculous. The size of the government and the fact that it's continuing to grow, even though these conservative Republicans, we're small government Republicans. When were you small government Republicans? Because in my lifetime, government has done nothing except grow. In the entire time I've been alive, even when the Republicans were running things. Still just growing. They just grow the government to a larger size. So if they can get that to stop, that would be nice. But there's a lot going on. I've been watching a lot of the UFO stuff. I've been watching other people freak out about the Trump stuff. And it is entertaining, but some of the things that I see are they're just so stupid. I don't understand how anybody actually gets into it. But I just thought for a minute we're going to scroll through my X feed. We're going to see what shows up here, because it's kind of silly. The first thing is this Jackie Singh apparently is a fucking idiot. And she tried to dox the guy who was standing in front of the Department of Education, who was preventing the members of Congress from going in yesterday, and was saying it was this other guy. It's not him. They're not even close to being the same guy. Everything is wrong. And I think she thought any guy who was bald and had a crease between his brows and had a 3-day growth of goatee was him. I don't know. I've seen her fail dox a whole bunch of people over the last couple of years, and she really is stupid. She's stupid, and she isn't good at what she's trying to do, so she should probably stop it. Yeah. Oh yeah, the QAnon people want to put people through a guillotine again. There's nothing new there. Let's see, Doge. I don't even want to look at that, but this one's kind of fun.
No deliberations. It's been very well received, where basically the United States would view it as a real estate transaction, where we'll be an investor in that part of the world, and no rush to do anything. We wouldn't need anybody there. It would be supplied and given to us by Israel. They'll watch it in terms of security. We're not talking about boots on the ground or anything, but I think we'll the fact that we're there, that we have an investment there, I think would go a long way to creating peace. No delivery.
Yeah, that's Trump continuing to say the thing that a lot of people thought he was either just talking out of his ass or maybe making a dry joke or was having a dementia moment about the United States taking over the Gaza Strip and moving everybody out of there and sending them somewhere else and redeveloping it and turning it into like some sort of beach resort. Yeah, nobody's up for that plan. Nobody. Nobody likes that plan. Everyone around the world has already said that it's the dumbest thing they've ever heard. And it probably is the dumbest thing that Trump has ever said, at least since he's been in office. But boy, do we have a long way to go. It is not a viable option. It's not a plan that anyone can accomplish. And it's literally just really fucking stupid for him to be saying these things. But he continues to say really stupid fucking things all the time. So what are you going to do? There's more Ukraine stuff, blowing up Russians. I'm always all about that. And, oh boy, this.
Pain medication if you need it. Everything you would need to sustain yourself if...
You're building a bunker out there in Wyoming?
All right. Well, this is Lou Elizondo, and he's on the Julian Dory podcast show, which I think it's a pretty well produced show. I've watched a few of the episodes. I've listened to a few of the episodes as well without watching because it's an audio podcast on Spotify, and at least I think it is. I think that's where I listen to it, but maybe not. So, but if you see the comment down here from the average Chris, which is a guy I just recently started following, and I like following his stuff. He's probably one of the few rationally minded people out there on the internet today. Anyway, you've heard this so many times, GS15, and even David Grush was saying it during his testimony. I was a GS15, which is the military equivalent of a colonel, a full bird colonel. No, it's not. It's not the rank equivalent of anything. It just means your pay rate is similar to that of a colonel. It doesn't mean you have the authority of a colonel. It doesn't mean you have the power in office of a colonel. It doesn't mean you're going to walk onto any colonel's brigade headquarters and start bossing people around. That's an ignorant thing to say. And it impresses people who aren't in the military or maybe aren't in the government pay scale. But it doesn't impress... I don't know. It doesn't impress anybody else because we know it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's not true. So people need to stop saying it. And I've heard so many people say it recently, because, especially around the UAP topic. People are lying about things all the time. They're lying about their backgrounds, their history, their responsibilities while they were in such and such place or whatever. They're all lying about it. But several times lately, I've heard people talking about I was an equivalent of a lieutenant colonel. No, you were just paid at the same base rate as a lieutenant colonel. You weren't a fucking lieutenant colonel. You were a civilian. Duh. I don't know why people want to do that. They think it just gives them some sort of authority so that they're speaking from a position of authority. And it's just ludicrous. But yeah, there's going to be all kinds of things going on. There's lots in there about Ukraine and lots in there about, I don't know, people stealing people's data and stuff. But that's what I look at every day when I sit down and I try to decide if I'm going to do a podcast that day and if I am, what it's going to be about. And it's just chaos. So it's very hard to figure out. I am going to do one about Nazis. That one is proving to be pretty difficult. Because, number one, Nazis have been discussed enough. Literally, there are entire channels on cable dedicated, it seems, just to Nazi documentaries and stuff. But, I don't know. They seem to be making a comeback right now in modern society. And it's a little troubling. And I've seen a lot of stuff that is sort of, infiltrating our normal society and culture that's not good. It's really not good. And certain things are being accepted right now that probably wouldn't have been even 10 years ago. But now, yeah, it seems people are just okay with being a Nazi a lot of times. And I suppose you could probably look at it like this.
Say thank you for making it happen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And a big C. Kyle. A big angry, so I'm going to do it again for
My
the
heart
president.
goes out to you.
And then his heart goes out to you. No, I'm sorry. Anybody who thinks he wasn't giving a Nazi salute is a fucking moron. It's that simple. It really is that simple. The fact that there are people out there making excuses for this sort of conduct is really pathetic, and you should not do it because people are going to immediately associate you with the Nazi. I've seen a lot of people do stupid shit. I've seen a lot of people try to manipulate pictures and make it look like someone was doing a C. Kyle. This guy is literally doing a C. Kyle. Literally doing it. And he's doing it aggressively. It's not even a casual thing. It's an aggressive, violent almost C. Kyle. So all of you who are out there, I don't care. Stop listening to me. Stop following the podcast. I don't give a shit. But if you're out there making excuses for Elon Musk doing this Nazi salute, saying, oh, he's on the spectrum. He was trying to say my heart goes out to you. You're fucking stupid. That's what the problem is. And I want to put you right in the category with the flat earthers and I don't know, the psionics people, maybe. And the people who think a Nazi salute is a very just innocent gesture. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. So, give an aggressive Nazi salute. There you go, Mr. President.
My heart goes out to you
too. Yeah, no. If you're buying into all that stuff, you're just fucking stupid. And I'm sorry, but you are. And it could just be that Musk thinks he's so powerful and important that he can do whatever he wants and no one will care. And it kind of looks like he was right for that, in that case, at least. Because everyone is covering it up, making excuses for it, saying that this is an awkward gesture from a person on the spectrum, and you're all just fucking stupid. Because the simplicity of this situation is that he just gave a Nazi salute. And it may be that he just made a bet with somebody. I bet I can do this and nobody will do anything. It's kind of like, Trump's I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue or whatever it was that he said and get away with it. Yeah, Musk just may have made a bet with somebody and said, I bet I can do this and get away with it. And he did. So he wasn't wrong. But someone like that, he's just an idiot. And he's a very wealthy idiot, but he didn't design any of the things that he's famous for. He didn't invent them. He didn't design them. He didn't refine their designs. He just hired people and let them do it. So for people thinking that he's a genius, he's not a genius. He just had the money to help invest in something that became successful. That doesn't mean you're a genius. And I don't know, maybe they think everybody who has autism or something is a genius, which isn't true at all. And I don't even know if he's on the spectrum. I know he's really weird. And he's not somebody I would invite to dinner because he's just that weird. But anybody who's out there making excuses for Musk, saying that it was just an awkward gesture, sorry, you're just fucking stupid. So you can move along, because if that's the kind of stuff that you believe and support, then, hey, I don't want you around here anyway. See you later. Goodbye. But it's been crazy town with everything, and it's just getting started. So let's see what's going on with the UFO people. They're just out there talking more nonsense. It's really just a bunch of people, like a core group of people who are going around and doing radio and TV and podcasts and all this, doing all these interviews, some of them 3 hours long, and never actually saying anything of consequence. So it's tiresome. It really is. Especially Lou Elizondo's out there. He's pushing his book, and every time he sits down on a podcast, I'm not trying to hawk my book, and that makes me feel dirty. But otherwise, you wouldn't be on this tour. You're on a book tour. You're literally on a book promotional tour. That's what you're doing. You can buy tickets to your speaking engagements on your book promotional tour. But I don't want to. It makes me feel dirty. Anyway. It's all stupid. And the things that they're saying, the things that they do mention, they're all just inconsequential and they're all just nonsense. And they just keep saying, oh, this anonymous person who I can't name told me that this other anonymous person who I also can't name said this. Well, who cares? It doesn't mean jack shit. Like I said before, I had an Afghan tell me that the Afghans were the first to make it to the moon. Yep. He believed it. So am I supposed to just take that? He was a high-ranking military officer in the Afghan army. Am I just supposed to accept that and say that it's true because he's a high-ranking member of the military over there? And why wouldn't he be, a reliable source? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because what he said is absurd. Anyway, here's the question that everybody needs to ask. What would it benefit anyone to hide the fact that there were non-human intelligences out in the galaxy or out in the universe or in the solar system even? How would it benefit anyone to not tell you, to hide it, to do everything that they can, including murder and genocide, to prevent people from finding out? Why? The other thing you're not considering is that if the United States has been trying to keep this secret for the last 80 years or so, other people would have known, because we've been infiltrated by every intelligence service on Earth multiple times, and there have been multiple people in incredibly high positions in the DIA, in the CIA, in the FBI, who are all traitors, who sold our secrets to other countries. You don't think that would be one of them? They'd be like, hey, dude, did you know there were aliens? We got the evidence that there's aliens. Ooh. And it's also absurd for people to just assume that the United States would be where all the aliens were coming and hanging out and parking or crashing. It's stupid. But yeah, China, Russia, they all would have known by now. Cuba would have known. Cuba has done quite a good job of infiltrating our intelligence services, by the way. You don't hear about them as much, but from the looks of it, they're better at it than everybody else. But they tend to concentrate on some specific issues. But Cubans have been infiltrating our intelligence services for decades. And, we've had a lot of high-profile cases in the CIA and the FBI of people who were turncoats who sold our secrets. And if anybody had found those secrets, it would have been on the front page of, Pravda or TASS the next day, because nobody's going to keep that a secret. Everybody would have just leaked it and said, this is what the United States has been keeping from the world for 80 years. It would be a perfect opportunity to just make us look even worse on the world stage. So somebody would have done it by now, and they haven't. But it's very frustrating. It's frustrating every time I see a documentary or I see a podcast and they're like, oh, here's this same person talking about this same stuff, saying the same things. Nothing new. Nothing is ever revealed or divulged. Nothing. And I'm going to tell you something. They're all liars because they're like, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. That's classified. If you came out tomorrow and said, there are space aliens, I saw one. One of them is over there at Lockheed Martin helping them design a new spaceship. What do you think they're going to do to you? Nothing. They would just go, oh, crap. He just told everybody. And the fact that there would have to have been thousands and thousands of people who were aware of these programs who decided to never speak of it for the good of humanity or whatever. It's all absurd. And that's coming from a guy and a lot of other researchers, too, who feel the same way. We're people who want it to be true. We want to find intelligent life in the universe. I want to find any life in the universe. I want them to find an amoeba or something on some moon of, Saturn or whatever. What's that? Europa? What's the one that's the ice covered? They think it's all water underneath. Yeah, I want them to go there and I want them to find microbial life, so that we can finally just get past we're not the only thing in the universe, theory that a lot of people have, including a lot of religions who refuse to admit that there's any other life in the universe because that would interfere with their religious beliefs. Well, I'm sorry. Facts tend to trump your religious beliefs, and that would go for every religion, not just a specific one that is adamant that there can't be any other life in the universe. Maybe we'll talk about that as one of the conspiracy theories one of these days, because it is a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy. But, it's all crazy. It makes no sense. And these retrieval programs, I know for a fact they have a foreign technology office that literally goes and retrieves foreign technology when it crashes so that we can analyze it and study it and figure out what it was doing and how it works. And it's just stupid for people to automatically assume that it has to do with space aliens. And people have associated UFO and UAP with space aliens. Just because something's unidentified doesn't mean it's space aliens at all. But the fact that people are saying, I saw a headline the other day, oh, Mick West says UAPs are real, or Mick West says aliens are real. No, UAPs are a real thing. UFOs are a real thing. It's something in the sky that you can't identify. It's a thing. And it's a real thing that you're seeing. You just don't know what it is, except for the people who are just making up bullshit because they're trying to get, attention, trying to make money. The Chris Bledsoe one, oh my God, it's the worst. And yeah, the lady and Chris Bledsoe and all those other things that are going on. If you're not sure, if you're not aware of what that is, it's just look up Chris Bledsoe, the guy who claims that he can, summon orbs in the sky and all that, who also just happens to be a drone pilot and have a large collection of radio-controlled aircraft in his shed that he was showing everybody. And there's a video of him flying these things around all over the place and then saying, oh, come to my house, and in the middle of the night, if you say you want to see an orb, one will appear. And people are falling for this shit for a long, long time. And it's just so pathetic. I can't get over it. And, I'm not going to mention much more about that. So if you want to understand it, just go look it up. And there have been so many shows about it online. I'm not going to waste my time doing one, but you can just Google Chris Bledsoe, the lady, UAPs are angels, or whatever you want to look up. It's all going to be related bullshit. But I don't know. I'm going to have to settle on one of these topics soon and try to go with it, because there's just too many things happening in the universe, and I can't keep up. But maybe now that my life is settling a little bit, we got a lot of things fixed. Things maybe getting back to normal. Maybe I'll be able to get back on track with doing these podcasts and getting them out there, because it's been very difficult. It's been trying on me, actually, because every day I think I need to get in there and I need to record something for a podcast, and then I just can't. I don't have the time or the resources, or I'm too busy doing something else because something else was important. So I put in a lot of hours the last couple of weeks at work too. So sometimes it's just because I'm exhausted and I come home and I crash. But hopefully things are settled now, or will settle down, and we'll be able to move along and get back into a normal schedule. But hopefully you'll stick around until then. And if you want me to talk about something, here's the thing. I'm going to debunk conspiracy theories. It's what I do. Some of them I might actually tell you are real. But if you want me to look into something, just let me know, and I'll do it. And we'll do a show about it. Or maybe I'll do a show showing you how I do it. I talked about doing that before, and it's still on the table when I have time. So, we'll see. Let me know. Till then, everybody take care of yourselves, and hopefully you don't lose your job because of the Department of Government Efficiency, or hopefully you aren't stranded overseas because they closed the USAID, who was your employer, and you're sitting somewhere in Pakistan and you're not sure how you're going to get home. I hope that's not happening to many people out there. That's a very unfortunate place to be. But hopefully everybody comes home safe if you're coming home. And, if not, remember your evasion training, whatever it was. Okay. All right. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Really? Just Stop with your host, Ross. Make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss a dose of some common sense.